Welcome back everyone, Michael here with Offshore Citizen. I did a video a little while ago where I talked about the things that I dislike about Canada having lived abroad for a while. So right now I'm in Canada and I have not been here for three years, now lived here in 4 years, and so it was interesting to reflect back. But the truth is, and I mentioned it in that video, there's lots of things on the other side, right? It would be disingenuous say, hey, this place is terrible. There's tons and tons of wonderful things. It's just interesting to contrast them on both sides. And so to be fair, I'm going to talk today about the 5 or 6 things that I really appreciate about Canada, having lived abroad. So we're going to dive into those today. Before we start, I'd love to hear from you guys. Maybe you've spent time living in a Western developed country, let's call it. Okay, so Canada, the US, Australia, UK, New Zealand, etc., wherever it is you're used to. What are things that you really appreciate about those places? Share them with us in the comments, and then we can contrast them with the ones that I share, and we'll see how things compare. So let's dive in. Before we do that, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, nail the notification bell. Make sure you don't miss out on any of our other videos. Go and check out, if you have topics you're interested in, you can use the search. And if you'd like help with these subjects, so where to relocate, getting residency permit, what's the best solution for you, getting citizenships, or optimizing your international tax, forming companies abroad, optimizing your business, doing asset protection, forming companies, opening bank accounts, all those fun things, please reach out to me. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message to our websites, offshorecitizen.net or offshorecapitalist.com. All right, diving in right away then. So, number one thing that I immediately notice that I appreciate in Canada a lot is it is very convenient. So just everything from the ease of driving, right? It's not like narrow streets, to Amazon. Oh my gosh, like being able to have online ordering, the difference between places where you can have good Amazon delivery selection, etc., and not, is a big difference. It's a much better thing. And of course there's, in some cases competitor services, but the ability to easily order is a big thing. If I just compare to Bulgaria, like mail doesn't work very well, especially if it's coming from outside the EU, that's an issue. So big plus when you're in a situation that you can order things easily. And of course there's some other parts of the world that you can do that perfectly well as well, but it's one thing that I love in Canada. The thing that goes along with it, number 2, is selection. Okay, just the sheer number of available options. My wife was shocked when I took her to a grocery store, and it's just row upon row upon row of chips or something, right? Just lots of different things. Now, to be fair, I mentioned in the last video, cheese culture, not so good, right? But there's a lot of selection in general. I talk about electronics. If we pay attention to, I bought a new laptop in, early summer of 2020 in Bulgaria, and the selection was, especially on the high end, very poor. Now, when I'm in Dubai, selection is fantastic. When I'm in, various parts of Asia, selection is fantastic. But you just have such great options, either locally or especially when you add in the ability to order, it's great. So I really appreciate that. It's quite a wonderful thing. Third thing that I like a lot is people's friendliness and quality of service. So Canadians are really polite, they're really friendly, and so you get that kind of a service culture. Maybe it's partially due to the tipping culture, but I think it goes well beyond that. I did complain a little bit about the tipping culture in the last video as being a bit overboard, but the truth is, you get people who are very friendly and warm. And I noticed something similar when I'm in Netherlands, when I'm in various parts of Scandinavia, etc. But it's really notable, especially if you contrast it with Eastern Europe when you're in Canada. So some people might prefer, I had a friend sent me an article the other day about, why is it that people are blunt and straightforward and seemingly rude in Russia versus not that way in Canada, the US, etc. And I don't know whether the assessment was accurate or not, but I definitely could say that I prefer this over that. So, just depending on what you're talking about, your preference, for me, it's something that I really like. So that is number 3. Number 4 is, for me, a really big one. Okay, very nice. Probably along with the kind of like conveniences, it's the second most important, or maybe the top most important thing. And this is the accessibility of alternative health services. So if you're, for example, in, it was like early summer, maybe late spring 2019, I injured my back and was really not fun at all, very, very terrible. And in Canada, I can really easily go and get services. It helps that I have a former business partner who's a chiropractor, and so I've got lots of different advantages in that respect. But just in general, I mean, there's chiropractors and physiotherapists and naturopaths on every corner. Whereas in Bulgaria, it's like there's like 2 chiropractors, right? And they just don't have the same equipment, and they don't. There's like a lot of limitations. And I find this in a bunch of the rest of the world. I would say that places like Canada are really leaders in the proliferation of alternative health services. And for me, as somebody who, I don't particularly like normal doctors, I don't find that, like, there's certain things that they're good for, and then there's a whole host of things that they're just useless for as far as I'm concerned. I like to go to alternative health people, things like diet, things like chiropractic, things like, specific types of, say, massage. So if you think about this, you can go to a place like Thailand where they have a lot of massages. It's like a massage culture, and there's some actually quite good massage. But what there isn't generally is very health-oriented massage, like results-oriented. Hey, you've been in a car accident and we need to correct you and get you back. Whereas in Canada, there's like a lot of awareness of active release, of deep fascia massages, etc. So things that can help you from sort of a therapeutic standpoint that it's really, really hard to find in a bunch of other areas of the world. I tried to micromanage a massage therapist a little while ago and get them to do like a deep fascia massage. If you've never had it, it's super painful, but for somebody like me who spends a lot of time sitting at a computer, etc., it's not good. So I need something to counteract that. And so it's really helpful if you can get it, but it's hard to find it in a lot of parts of the world. So I can get it in Canada, and that's really helpful. So I love that. The fifth thing that maybe surprises some people, but is there's really reasonable costs of housing in much of the country. Now, I have to caveat that this is not really true in Vancouver, and I would say Toronto to a large extent is not true either. But for example, right now I'm in Calgary, and I'm staying at this quite large, nice apartment right downtown, great place, nice view, multiple patios, things like this. And the price is really very affordable, and like probably I would pay an equivalent price in Bulgaria, which is, they're just not. I would expect to pay much more in Canada than I would in Bulgaria. And to be fair, Bulgaria is cheap, but on the other hand, I wouldn't expect that. If I was to look at most of major European cities, I would pay a lot more. And I noticed this with buying housing as well. You can get pretty large houses on pretty large yachts, not yachts, lots for quite affordable. And that's great. Like what you can get for 300,000 Canadian dollars in a lot of cases is pretty good. And I just look, there's a lot of places where you can get nothing for 300,000 Canadian dollars. The U.S. has a bunch of places like this as well. If you go and look at properties in Texas and kind of the value that you're getting, it's really good. So these are 5 things that for sure I really appreciate about Canada. There's a bunch of others as well, but these ones really stand out to me, having been away for quite a while. And it'll be interesting to kind of, having spent this time, then go back. I'm leaving in about a month, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So curious to hear what you guys have to say, your comments, and I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.